In the heart of ancient Israel, nestled between rolling hills and fertile valleys, lay the seemingly ordinary village of Bethzara. Its inhabitants went about their daily lives, unaware of the celestial forces that watched over them. The village was a place of peace, where children played in the streets, farmers tended to their fields, and elders shared stories by the fireside. But beneath this tranquil surface, an unseen battle raged. Gabriel, the archangel, stood on a hill overlooking Bethzara. His wings shimmered with a radiant light, and his eyes were filled with determination. He had been sent by the Almighty to protect the village from the dark forces that sought to corrupt it. Beside him stood Michael, the warrior angel, his sword gleaming with divine fire. "Michael, the time has come," Gabriel said, his voice resonating with authority. "The forces of darkness are gathering. We must be vigilant." Michael nodded, his grip tightening on his sword. "I sense their presence, Gabriel. They are near." In the shadows of the forest surrounding Bethzara, the demons gathered. Azazel, a fallen angel with eyes like burning coals, led them. His wings were dark and tattered, and his heart was filled with malice. He had long sought to bring ruin to the village, to turn its people away from the light. "Tonight, we strike," Azazel hissed, his voice dripping with venom. "We will sow fear and despair, and the village will be ours." As night fell, the villagers of Bethzara went about their evening routines, unaware of the impending danger. In the small synagogue, Rabbi Eliakim led the evening prayers, his voice a beacon of hope and faith. His daughter, Miriam, listened intently, her heart filled with a sense of peace. But outside, the air grew thick with tension. Gabriel and Michael descended into the village, their presence unseen by mortal eyes. They moved swiftly, their senses attuned to the dark forces that crept closer. Suddenly, a chilling wind swept through the village, extinguishing the lamps and plunging Bethzara into darkness. The villagers gasped in fear, huddling together for comfort. Azazel and his demons emerged from the shadows, their eyes glowing with malevolent intent. Gabriel raised his hand, and a shield of light enveloped the village, protecting its inhabitants from the demonic onslaught. Michael stepped forward, his sword blazing with holy fire, ready to confront the dark forces. "Azazel, you will not harm these people," Michael declared, his voice echoing with divine power. Azazel sneered, his wings unfurling. "You cannot stop us, Michael. The darkness will consume this village, and its people will fall into despair." The battle began, a clash of light and darkness that shook the very foundations of Bethzara. Angels and demons fought with a fury that defied mortal comprehension, their powers colliding in bursts of energy that lit up the night sky. As the villagers watched in awe and fear, Miriam felt a strange pull in her heart. She closed her eyes and whispered a prayer, her faith unwavering. Unbeknownst to her, her prayer reached the heavens, strengthening the angels in their fight. Gabriel and Michael fought valiantly, their resolve unyielding. But the battle was far from over, and the outcome remained uncertain. The fate of Bethzara hung in the balance, as the forces of light and darkness clashed in a struggle that would determine the future of the village and its people. The clash between angels and demons intensified, each side unleashing their full might. The villagers of Bethzara, though unable to see the celestial beings, felt the tremors of their battle. Fear gripped their hearts, but Rabbi Eliakim's voice rose above the chaos, urging them to hold fast to their faith. Miriam, sensing the gravity of the situation, continued her fervent prayers. Her words, though simple, carried a profound power that resonated in the heavens. Gabriel, feeling the strength of her faith, drew upon it to bolster his defenses. "Michael, we must protect the villagers at all costs," Gabriel called out, his voice unwavering despite the fierce battle. Michael nodded, his sword cutting through the darkness. "We will not let them fall, Gabriel. Their faith is our shield." Azazel, seeing the determination in the angel's eyes, grew more desperate. He summoned his most powerful minions, creatures of shadow and despair, to break through the angel's defenses. The air crackled with dark energy as the demons surged forward, their eyes fixed on the village. But Gabriel and Michael stood firm, their light shining brighter than ever. With a mighty swing of his sword, Michael cleaved through the ranks of demons, sending them scattering. Gabriel raised his hand, and a wave of divine light washed over the village, pushing back the darkness. In the midst of the battle, a young boy named David watched from the safety of his home. He had always been curious about the world beyond the village and had often dreamed of adventures. Seeing the fear in his parents' eyes, he felt a surge of courage. "Father, I want to help," David said, his voice steady despite his fear. His father, a humble farmer named Jacob, looked at him with a mixture of pride and concern. "David, this is not a battle for us. We must trust in the angels to protect us." But David was determined. He remembered the stories his grandfather had told him about the power of faith and the strength of the human spirit. He closed his eyes and whispered a prayer, asking for the courage to stand against the darkness. As David prayed, a soft glow surrounded him. Unbeknownst to him, his prayer had reached the heavens, adding to the strength of the angels. Gabriel felt the surge of faith and smiled, knowing that the villagers' belief was their greatest weapon. Azazel, sensing the growing power of the villagers' faith, grew more frantic. He unleashed a torrent of dark energy, aiming to break the angels' resolve. But Gabriel and Michael, fortified by the prayers of the villagers, stood their ground. "Azazel, your darkness has no place here," Gabriel declared, his voice ringing with authority. "The light of faith will always prevail." The battle raged on, each side pushing their limits. The fate of Beth Zara hung in the balance, as the forces of light and darkness clashed in a struggle that would determine the future of the village and its people. The night grew darker, and the battle more intense. The villagers of Beth Zara clung to their faith, their prayers forming an invisible shield around them. Gabriel and Michael, drawing strength from the villagers' unwavering belief, fought with renewed vigor. Azazel, realizing that brute force alone would not break the angels' defenses, decided to change his tactics. He whispered to his minions, and they began to spread through the village, sowing seeds of doubt and fear in the hearts of the people. In the small synagogue, Rabbi Eliakim sensed the growing unease among his congregation. He stood tall, his voice steady as he addressed them. "Do not let fear take hold of your hearts. Remember the stories of our ancestors, how they overcame great trials through their faith. We must stand together and trust in the Almighty." Miriam, inspired by her father's words, continued her prayers with even greater fervor. Her faith was a beacon of light, pushing back the darkness that sought to engulf the village. Gabriel, feeling the strength of her prayers, turned to Michael. "We must find the source of Azazel's power," Gabriel said. "If we can cut it off, we can weaken him and his minions." Michael nodded, his eyes scanning the village. "I sense it too. It's coming from the old well at the edge of the forest." The two angels moved swiftly, their wings carrying them to the well. As they approached, they felt the oppressive weight of dark energy emanating from it. Azazel had chosen this place as his stronghold, drawing power from the depths of the earth. Gabriel raised his hand, and a beam of divine light pierced the darkness, illuminating the well. Michael stepped forward, his sword blazing with holy fire, ready to confront whatever lay within. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Lilith, a powerful demoness and Azazel's most trusted lieutenant. Her eyes glowed with a sinister light, and her voice was a seductive whisper. "Gabriel, Michael, you cannot stop us," Lilith said, her voice dripping with malice. "The darkness will consume this village, and its people will fall into despair." Gabriel stood firm, his eyes locked on Lilith. "We will not let that happen. The light of faith will always prevail." Lilith laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the night. "We shall see, angel. We shall see." The battle at the well began, a fierce clash of light and darkness. Gabriel and Michael fought with all their might, their divine powers clashing with Lilith's dark magic. The ground trembled, and the air crackled with energy as the two sides battled for control. Back in the village, David felt a strange pull in his heart. He knew that the angels were fighting to protect them, but he also sensed that they needed help. He turned to his father, determination in his eyes. "Father, I must go to the well," David said. "I feel that I can help the angels." Jacob hesitated, fear and pride battling within him. "David, it's too dangerous. You are just a boy." David shook his head, his resolve unwavering. "I may be young, but I have faith. And sometimes, faith is all we need." Jacob saw the determination in his son's eyes and nodded. "Go, my son. May the Almighty protect you." David ran towards the well, his heart filled with courage and faith. As he approached, he saw the fierce battle between the angels and Lilith. He closed his eyes and whispered a prayer, asking for the strength to help. David's prayer reached the heavens, and a soft glow surrounded him. Gabriel and Michael, sensing the boy's faith, felt a surge of strength. Lilith, noticing the glow, turned her gaze towards David, her eyes narrowing. David stood his ground, his heart pounding but his resolve unwavering. "You will not harm this village," he declared, his voice steady. "The angels will protect us." Lilith laughed, a sound that sent chills down David's spine. "Brave words, little one." But Gabriel stepped forward, his wings spreading wide. "David, your faith is a beacon of light. Stay strong, and we will prevail." Michael, his sword blazing with holy fire, charged at Lilith. The demoness met his attack with a burst of dark energy, the clash sending shockwaves through the air. Gabriel raised his hand, and a shield of light enveloped David, protecting him from the dark forces. Suddenly, a beam of light shot from David's hands, piercing the darkness and striking the well. The ground trembled, and the dark energy began to dissipate. Lilith screamed in rage, her power waning as the light grew stronger. "No, this cannot be," Lilith cried, her voice filled with desperation. Gabriel and Michael seized the opportunity, their attacks relentless. With a final, mighty swing of his sword, Michael struck Lilith, sending her crashing to the ground. Gabriel raised his hand, and a wave of divine light washed over the well, purging it of the dark energy. Azazel, sensing his lieutenant's defeat, roared in fury. He summoned all his remaining power, launching a final, desperate attack on the village. But the combined strength of the angels and the villagers' faith proved too much for him. Gabriel and Michael, their light shining brighter than ever, confronted Azazel. "Your reign of darkness ends here, Azazel," Gabriel declared, his voice ringing with authority. Azazel snarled, his eyes burning with hatred. "This is not over, angels. The darkness will return." With a final burst of light, Gabriel and Michael banished Azazel and his minions, sending them back to the depths from which they came. The village of Beth Zara was safe, its people saved by their unwavering faith and the courage of a young boy.